Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Boys 1975. A YouTuber's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends used to bug him. Long Boys 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975, and welcome to another game comparison video of ZX Spectrum versus Commodore 64, or Playground Wars, as I like to call it. Now, why am I in front of the camera talking about this video? Because this video really isn't anything special, but I'm kind of toying with putting a little introduction to these videos so I can cover some of the basics, of what I like about these games and why I'm playing these games, and some of my more nostalgic memories about these games outside of within the game, because then it kind of frees me up to just jumping straight into it, because I know I'm really bad and really prone to waffling at a massive amount of bollocks right at the start, which I know also kind of detracts from the video and puts a lot of people off. This, however, this is a complete and utter piss take. This is a bit of fun, This is not a proper comparison video. So, I mean, there's nothing to say you should never compare shit games, to each other. I mean, but in this case, Highlander is awful. It's absolutely awful on both these systems. To do a comparison of this would be basically to look at horse shit compared to cow shit and draw out which roughly would probably be better for your lawn as fertilizer. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this simply because I said I would a few weeks, maybe a month or so ago, that it's just an excuse to talk Highlander with a Highlander background going on, because there are no Highlander. Let me correct myself on that. There's a Highlander game on the Atari Jaguar CD. It's kind of like Resident Evil as such, but apparently absolutely broken and unplayable, and I would love to play it simply because it's a Highlander game, but that's not going to happen because the Atari Jaguar is getting up there. The Atari Jaguar CD is certainly getting up there, and the Atari Jaguar CD is it's fragile as shite. Which is probably a word you're going to hear a lot in this particular video. But there are no Highlander games, which absolutely blows my mind for a franchise that I absolutely love and adore. And that's key why I want to do this comparison video, and I'm doing this little talk. Don't worry, it won't go on too long at the start of this video. I absolutely adore Highlander. First movie, I consider it standalone, and I'm very worried about the remake. Even though you could argue it's in good hands with who's doing it, I'm very worried about it coming up because remakes at best. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying I hate all remakes, but remakes of stuff I hold incredibly dear, such as this and Back to the Future, should never ever happen. And this is my second favourite movie of all time. I absolutely love and adore it, which is technically praise, high praise, or bold words indeed, because if anyone knows what my favourite movie of all time, it's Back to the Future, and that essentially is on a pedestal all of its own and will never ever be touched, and apparently can never have a remake made. Look it up, it's interesting, but this isn't a Back to the Future story. I never saw Highlander in the cinema. I would have been too young. I saw it on Sky Movies, knowing a little bit about it because my dad's business partner at the time watched it and ranted and raved about how good it was, about an immortal born, in Scotland, pretty much medieval, around about their times, who had to fight for a prize. I'm pretty sure you know the story of Highlander, and it explains the themes of, immortality is more of a curse than it is a blessing. It's got Sean Connery in it. It's one of the most quotable movies of absolutely all time. For the time, great, incredible special effects, and I cannot tell you how much I love it. Kind of like the original series as well. That was kind of cool. Saw Highlander 2 in the cinema. Yeah. What the hell? Saw Highlander 3 in the cinema. Tried to return to form, but ultimately you're not going to touch it. Saw Endgame in the cinema in Canada. Oh dear. And yeah, just Highlander is all by itself. It's, I don't know, I may see the remake, but yeah, I just cannot express the love I had. So this is just a stupid excuse to do a comparison of Highlander on the singular ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64, just for shits and giggles, because I don't know if you... And maybe talk a little bit of the story behind the game, because it's an interesting one within itself, with a whole bunch of urban legends and myths and shit about it, which can be dispelled if you watch Kim Justice's excellent video on it. So yeah, let's jump into Highlander, the video game on the ZX Spectrum versus the Commodore 64. Just for shits and giggles. So here we go, Highlander on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum by Ocean in 1986. Amazingly, this was £7.95. It's on the Amstrad as well, but we're only interested in the Spectrum and the Commodore. And as I said, this is just a piss take video, so I can talk Highlander. There you are. You have an amazing picture of Christophe Lambert. He was a French actor, and at the time he learnt the script phonetically because he could not speak English, and he just came off the back of Greystoke, the Legend of Tarzan. But I hadn't seen that movie at this point, although I was aware of what Highlander was, even though I hadn't seen it on Sky Movies at this point, and was quite excited, mainly because of the amazing box art. Look it up, by the late great, rest in peace, Bob Wakelin. It is fantastic. It's got a 1985 Connor MacLeod. It's also got the Kurgan in his back in the day guys, and yeah, it's amazing. I so wish when he was still with us that I ordered one of his custom posters, because he would recreate them. I don't think they would have Ocean on the front, but yeah, such a loss. Seriously, look it up. It's absolutely amazing. So I remember my mate Richard Vorden got 3 games on his birthday and 2 movies. I can't remember what the other games were. No, one of them was Donkey Kong by Ocean, which is also pants. Maybe it was a compilation tape. One of the movies he's got was Field of Dreams. Even as a kid, then I would have been, what, 11? I thought, that's fucking stupid. Ghost made you build a baseball ground? Anyway, ignore that. And I was quite excited for it based on the amazing box art, because it kind of went hand in hand back in the day. If a game was really shit, they would get Wakelin in to like give it amazing box art, because they knew that kids would buy stuff even if they didn't know what the movie was based off the box art. We loaded it up. There are 3 stages. You load them all separately, not sure on the Commodore, and we just thought it was, even back then, unbelievably broken and didn't know what to do. Yeah, because basically it didn't work. Right, so basically twice that close together, awkward. You're in, this is the first stage. There's just 3 fighting stages like this. Your health is at the bottom left. Here's Ramirez, in this case, bottom right. It will go down, but it will go back up. He trained us in a movie, which is my second favourite fighting montage scene ever to Rocky IV. Look it up, when Sean Connery trains Christophe Lambert. Apparently, they both stayed in character on the set, or called each other by the name of their character's name on set, just to keep the comradeship going, which is amazing. We won't play it with keyboard. The keys can't define them. I had to look them up on Water Spectrum. They're unbelievably broken. It's almost like they made this game to be shit as possible, which we'll get into once I start trying to die, basically. We'll go with Kempston joystick. This is Connor's house on the moors where he lived with Heather. I believe it's real ruins that you can actually visit, not the inside. And we'll get to something else in the movie that really pissed me off. But yeah, so it's a training montage, but he can kill me. I believe the next 2 stages are just basically you fighting the Kurgan. Or was one that bloke in the car park, and the final one is the Kurgan? I don't know. Can't ever get to them. Right, enter to start game. Right, number of players, yeah. Funny, 1 or 2, either way, you ain't going to be able to control shit. It's all about holding down fire and then pressing directions. He says, look at it. There we go. Look, I'm on the left. Graphics are awful. Thing is, the animation's not terrible. Oh, are you Sean Connery? He is dressed like Ramirez. Right. Just, I mean, see, is he going to take my head? Yeah, well, I can parry. It's just hit here and hammer. He took my head. He's training me. He took my life force. It was the quickening. This is it. This is it. Utterly terrible. But yeah, bearing in mind that Way of the Exploding Fist, if they wanted to make a serious fighting game, was out at this point, and will been out, so there is no excuse. That's it, just keep going, for it to be this shit. Now, the rumour mill says it's this shit because back in the day it was commonplace for you, if you wanted to license a movie, to fly to America, approach a film company, and then basically offer them a set cut of your profits you would make from the game. I mean, in Ocean's case, they got an amazing deal with Robocop, and they even got to sell that on to Data East to do the arcade machine. So, yeah. And then, I guess for free, because they sold it on, it's not about that, I know, make the 16-bit versions of the arcade machine, you know, conversions. But yeah, but the rumour is the deal was so shit for this that they just thought, we can't make this. If we make any money or this game is successful, it will absolutely bankrupt us. I thought that. If you look at my original video on this, that's what I talk about. Then I saw that video by Kim Justice. You just can't do fuck all. And found out that that was, yeah, no, that wasn't the case. I think it was just rushed. They just didn't have enough time. Get up. Right, chop seems to work. Yeah, they just had no time to do it. And I say chop seems to work. No, it doesn't. And that was it. They cobbled together an absolute piece of bollocks. Which is shocking because I'm pretty sure, dependent upon the age, when this was announced as a game back in the day, there would have been a bunch of really, really big Highlander fans who would have been incredibly excited. As I said in the intro to this video, there's never been a proper Highlander game apart from that one with the Atari Jaguar, which was generally regarded as absolute horseshit. Just can't do anything. It is unplayable on the Commodore, but we'll get to that. But the Commodore has one saving grace over this. This is not a comparison video. This is just me to talk Highlander. But yeah, so the rumours it just... Oh, and then they got Bob Wakelin in to dress it up because they knew they had an absolute stinker on its hands. I mean, if you know more about it than me, that's utterly wrong. By all means, tell me. I would love to know. But, I mean, the funny thing is the animation is not terrible. It's not on par with, you know... I mean, it's like... You look like Smurfs. It's cutesy graphics. It's not on par with anything else, but it's not terrible. And you do resemble Connor and Ramirez, and you are dressed for the part. And the background's alright, you know, there's no attribute class, which is why they probably went with white, or they probably didn't care, to be honest, at this point. Look! No! I could have had you! I won the prize! Secret Santa! This is where you just... Yay! Well, I feel like I've achieved something. I've just killed Sean Connery in his greatest role ever. And that, sorry, includes Bond. Oh my god, I'm a bastard. I feel horrible, but that's it. That's it. Across all the stages, this is it. It's an incredibly shit, incredibly unplayable, incredibly broken game. But it's Highlander. And also, before I jump to Commodore 64, a couple of things I want to say. You need to see this movie. You need to see this movie. Buy the remastered Blu-ray 30th. My god, it's 30 years old. I have loads of videos on Highlander if you want to see it. Just look them up in my playlist. But yeah, this scene always pissed me off when Connor is out. God knows where he would be in the middle of the night. He can't be shopping, buying goods or anything like that. It's the middle of the night. And Sean Connery, although Ramirez is a complete man whore, he's not trying to seduce Heather, but he's telling a story of what an absolute man whore he is, and she's just laughing it up. I'd be thinking, Christ, what a man whore. You can't drown, you fool, you're immortal. Right. I'm Egyptian, not Spanish. But, and then the Kurgan comes in and they have to have a fight. And obviously the purpose of the story is that sorry, spoilers, but you haven't seen it, that's on you. He has to die, but he holds his own against the Kurgan, right? And then he cuts his neck and then he kicks him off the top of the tower, that staircase you can see in the background. And he's got the Kurgan totally on the back foot. Even as a kid, because I knew he had to die, but I've always just been like, why did you just run down the bloody stairs where he's unconscious on the floor and cut his fucking head off? Seriously, that's all you had to do. Just fantastic. And yes, I know at the end of the movie you can see the wires holding up Christophe Lambert when the lightning comes down the shoulders. But yeah. And also the second one is shit, as I mentioned in the foreword to this video. But if you absolutely have to, maybe the Renegade cut, because it's got a different ending they shot later, or maybe the director's cut of 2, which removes all reference of the planet Zeist, and you just think that they've been punished by being sent to the Earth's past or something like that. You can't punish a turd, but at least they attempt something. But yeah, what can I say? It's Highlander. It's an awful game, but it's Highlander, and I love Highlander. Let's have a look at the Commodore 64 version. So, more of the same on the Commodore 64. However, I must be quiet and you must soak up this because special credit must be given to this musical score of Sid Chip Wonderment of Queen, It's a Kind of Magic. Absolutely fantastic. Being a massive Queen fan, this does actually make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Also, Why would you write a piece of music this good for a game you know is shit? You absolutely no doubt know is shit when you release it. I mean, it's funny because, as I mentioned in the first part, when I was playing the Spectrum version, with the Bob Wakelin artwork often being used to sell games based on how shit the cover was, they would still sometimes get, knowing that the game was a complete pup. Oh, listen to that. It's Brian May amazing. Yeah, knowing it was complete pup, they would get fantastic music on there. I mean, there's a comparison video I've wanted to do, but there really is no point, which is Cobra Spectrum versus Cobra on the Commodore 64, because the Spectrum version is an absolute amazing, one of the best Spectrum games of all time, and on the Commodore 64, don't touch it with someone else's barge pole, but it still has amazing title music. So, right, let's get into it. So we're playing out on joystick. Your layout's the same, but you helped at the bottom. You got a whopping great sword down the right-hand side, just to make the screen smaller. Oh my god. Same location, just coloured in as our sprites. Where do you see the sprites? How many players? One. Yay! Press space to continue. So here we go, it's exactly the same setup. You've got your health at the bottom, you've basically got colour on the characters, but I would argue the Spectrum sprites are ever so slightly better, but that's comparing, as I said at the start of this video, one form of shit to another form of shit. You've got sound effects, which is why didn't they put that amazing music in, but you've just got the chinking of the swords. This one feels even less playable, and the thing is, it is playable, or it's not broken, because if you look, at the moment, I am winning. I'm actually beating him, but other than that, it is, well, I would say the Spectrum's slightly more playable, but yeah, they're both shit. But however, the amazing sit-tip music made me want to talk about the soundtrack, the amazing soundtrack to Highlander. Queen, It's a Kind of Magic, released at the same time as the movie, an absolutely fantastic record. That I became a Queen fan slightly later on in life, you know, so round about that point. Hey, fucking hell. So why does it sound like you're opening a bottle of wine? Boom. There we go. Yeah, slightly later in life, around about the time of the movie, I was, you know, not particularly younger than that, although I do remember it getting a top 10 hit, It's a Kind of Magic, which is a fantastic title track to the album, but didn't know the album existed until you see, you know, at the end of the credits, like on Sky, when it says album and soundtrack available on EMI Records. So I got my mum to get it when I was at school, and she was shopping one day, and I wore the tape out. Absolutely wore it out. Love it. Boring random facts about the soundtrack. They wrote the song, Who Wants to Live Forever, didn't they? On the way back in a cab, on the back of a napkin. The Spectrum plays better, as in you feel like you're in control, but apparently I'm doing more damage than this one. Mainly to the tendons in my right hand. But yeah, on the back of a napkin, on the way back in a cab from seeing a rough cut of the movie, and that song is absolutely fantastic. And then you've got the Princess of the Universe music video, which actually has Conor McLeod walk onto stage dressed, well, Christophe Lambert dressed as Conor McLeod and fight Freddie Mercury, only Freddie Mercury fights with his microphone. Again, absolutely amazing. Look it up. It's on YouTube. But yeah, fantastic soundtrack. And one song that's not on it, which is when the Kurgan is driving through the down traffic with I can't remember her name, I was going to call her by the actress's name, Roxy, you know, terrifying her and stuff like that. There's a version of New York, New York playing on the radio, sung by Freddie Mercury, that's kind of like, can't be Connery anymore. Yeah, being sung, but it's Connery's birthday yesterday. That's irrelevant by the time you watch this, but happy birthday, sure, Sean Connery. But yeah, it's a really good version of New York, New York, done like kind of heavy metal, hard rockish. It's never been released on anything. You can only hear that bit of it in that part of the movie. This is worse. How can this be, even though I've got 2 kills already? How many kills do I have to get to progress? I don't really want to progress because this is just pain, but yeah. Yeah, you can only hear it in that part of the movie. That's tragic, especially since, you know, there must be a version of it somewhere, and we would love, you know, new material, Freddie Mercury. Then in Canada, in 1996, when I was on holiday visiting my mate who emigrated, I found a copy in a local Blockbuster called Highlander 10th Anniversary Edition, Director's Cut, and it said on the back contains new scenes and everything like that, and I was just like, this is monotonous shit. This not the 10th anniversary edition. And we sat there and watched it really excited to notice that it was exactly the same as the UK version. The deleted scenes in question, sorry, spoilers, but again, you haven't seen Highlander, sort your life out, were when the Kurgan is in the church, you know, the scene where it's whatever you say, no, that's not, that's Connor, sorry, you know, the bit when I'm having complete brain fart because this game's worn out my brain as well as my hand. He's in the church and you know, holy ground, Highlander, we cannot fight on holy ground, and he licks the priest's hand. That was deemed too much for, you know, the more slightly religious nature of the audience in the States than it was in the UK. But the reason that scene was, you know, shot was the, oh my god, that's 3. How'd you just keep going and then load in the next level? Oh, but their roof was badly leaking, so they agreed to let them actually film in that church for money to repair the roof. The other scene is when you see World War II and you see a young Rachel and Connor saves her, and then he gets shot by a German, and you know, it tells him to stick his hands up, and he go, you know, and he can't understand. He just goes, "Whatever you say, Jack. You're the master race," and gets shot. And then Rachel looks at him as a young girl, and she goes, "You're alive." And he goes, "Shh, it's a kind of magic," and then, you know, kills the German. I don't know why that scene was deleted, but that was, you know, deleted as well. But I remember thinking, why aren't these scenes in it? Like, what? Oh, sorry, why? You know. Why? How is this a director's cut? And it wasn't until later on, until Tinterwebs properly kicked in, that I found out that was just a US cut of it. We had that in the European cut all along. So anyway, I'm going to round up. This video was really just an excuse for me to waffle Highlander over the top of a really bad game, but also kind of bad gameplays are fun if they're particularly on a movie you know I love. So I guess maybe I could do Back to the Future. Look, I'm just going to let my hands go a minute. Now I'm just going to hold fire down. No, apparently I just parry him? I don't know. But yeah, you know, particularly on movies you know I love that have bad games, it could be an interesting series to do. But yeah, I understand this video is a bit long and pointless, but I promised it a few months ago, and I just thought I could just talk some pointless facts about Highlander whipped off the top of my head while I'm trying to get my brain around why this game is so awful. I would love to know what you think, but mainly more so about all things Highlander. And thank you for tolerating this, and I'll see you later.